Hi, Vincent.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, Rick was so annoying earlier.
You're annoyed?
Just no, Rake. I thought he wanted to discuss something sensible, but then he was just talking about what was it? Saturn or Mercury or something. Just so annoying.
Yeah,
Um, I,
no.
I mean, he literally talks gibberish. So I um, I don't know. And then after I left, I suppose you could say I rage quit. Um, he was just reading some book to himself, or I don't even know. He was just talking to himself. You know, I think it's some kind of pathology when people just maybe they read to comfort themselves, or maybe distract themselves. This was something I noticed John Vance doing. Well,
Doing what?
they sort of read. Usually it's holy books, and then they just read it and they want other people to hear them reading it. Judas used to do that.
I do that sometimes, not anymore, but I have.
Hmm. But I guess it gives some sort of some sort of comfort, I guess, for people to want to do that. Maybe it's a distraction from their problems
Hmm,
or from their own
maybe.
thoughts, because it's kind of almost standard now, and it's like, oh, but it's not even relevant. But he was praising your space yesterday about magical thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Yes, well, of course it was me versus a bunch of straight men, you know, that, I'm supposed to believe that when I close my eyes, the people in front of me disappear and no longer exist, which is
This was
ridiculous.
Sigma, right?
And
This was
Rake,
Sigma.
and yeah, and Rake, and what's his name? And Rake, and Tim.
Was it a straight and gay thing? I mean, I guess they were just trolling you, but I
No, they
thought,
were, no, of course they were. They weren't, they were being very, oh, well, how do you know they don't disappear?
but so Rake and I were arguing about neologism. So I thought that your space was a perfect example because it showed how magical thinking was a neologism for the post hoc fallacy. If you're familiar with it, if we've ever
Yeah,
discussed it.
you discussed it.
Yeah, I did discuss it yesterday, right? And then Carol was sort of getting really um, passionate about, oh, but what you're saying about the Nazis thinking their problems would be solved by kicking them out. Oh, it's just a political opinion, but it's kind of um, is it even a post hoc fallacy? Because has it ever worked? I guess the last time people tried to get rid of the Jews was in a time of Joseph, when he was working for the Pharaoh, and he, he interpreted the dream correctly about the seven skinny cows and the seven fat cows. Um, but okay, what I was trying to say was that, even if you kicked out the Jews, it doesn't necessarily help. And then I thought, oh, scapegoating, that's a Jewish practice. It didn't really help the Jews because the Jews sort of thought, by putting their sins symbolically on the goat and sending it into the wilderness or off a cliff, they could expiate their sins. And obviously it didn't work. And then what did they do again? When they moved to New York, they started a new practice of the scape chicken, which is kaporot, which actually makes Gentiles hate them even more because you know they don't really. Well, I guess Gentiles get upset at all these, chickens being slaughtered and then not even being used because, the people are just interested in slaughtering the chickens, but not so interested in, gutting them and preparing them to make it, suitable for eating. So they just left them there to rot or something. And of course, that was hugely upsetting to New York Gentile New Yorkers who saw it. But anyway, I mean, this is a kind of, irrational practice as well. So, and now the latest thing they've got is we're going to, do this kaparot thing, not over a chicken, but over, some money and maybe give the money to charity or something, which is more sensible, I guess.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I mean,
but I think oh yes. So I was trying to explain to him. Actually, I thought that was quite good. I thought of it on the hoof. So he was again saying he would fight me over my horrible proposal, and I said, but if you don't make people have an official moral system, what they're going to do is they'll have their own crazy little ideas, and then they'll fight each other over their conspiratard idea being better than somebody else's conspiratard idea, and they will never resolve their differences because they'll be yelling at each other. Who are you to tell me that my conspiratard story is wrong? So I said, you need to go through the official. You still need to use the official narrative because okay, this goes back to the AI discussion again. So we were asking each other, how do we know who won the argument anyway? And then we'll have all these different AIs, how will we know which AI won it? Because you can make, Allah AI, Hitler AI, feminist AI, whatever kind of AI. And then you just have these sort of isolated AIs, and nobody will be able to just, but of course somebody will, because it will be a human who through political activism or political leadership will choose one of the AIs promoting his preferred political ideology. And I said, that's how it's going to work. And that was some really important point. Oh yes. So atheist and ethical monotheist. So you'd have these two divergent viewpoints, and the point is that the atheist will be behaving differently to the ethical monotheist, because the ethical monotheist, if he really believes in the afterlife, will refrain from doing all kinds of things, sex and drugs and rock and roll and being gay and whatever, and the ethical monotheist will say, no, I'm not going to do any of that. I want to get to heaven. So in the end, this is a war between these two groups, and I also made the point that how you think, okay, we all think we're going to die, right? We all think we're going to die, but the fact that but if we thought we were going to die within the hour, we would be behaving differently to knowing that we would die within the week or within the year or within the decade. So even this this idea that we're all going to die, that we can all agree on, we're going to be behaving differently depending on when we think we're going to pop our clogs. And I thought, I wonder what you thought about that.
Yeah, obviously, if you think you're going to die within the hour, you're going to be more preparing, calling people, doing things, getting ready to die, than if you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah. So an atheist and ethical monotheist would have a quite different view of how to behave in this life. So the the atheists will, well, I'm not going to be refusing any opportunities to have fun, even though, because I don't believe God exists, so then there's nothing, to punish me. So I will do, I will
Punish for
take the.
what? For what? For punish for what? What do you mean punish me? What? They might not even think that they've done anything wrong. That it's not like they don't think that it's not like they're going out doing things they think are wrong and they're like, well, I'm going to get away with it. I mean, usually atheists avoid doing things they think are evil.
Well, I think they would stay within the law because they don't want to be punished by the law. And
They,
so, we're back to the law again as a means of, encouraging and discouraging certain behaviors.
yeah, and that's what it needs to be in a modern society. It needs to be the law, and excuse me, and that's why with secular paganism, I said the government shouldn't be creating ideologies for people. It should say what ideologies you can't have, but it shouldn't be, inventing fairy tales for the populace.
But people will still, okay,
But
you're.
you're restricting them, and you're saying you can't have one or two gods. You have to have at least three separate, distinct gods.
But you're just
But
creating division.
no, well, that's kind of the point. But no, but polytheists don't kill each other over this shit. They don't kill each other. Polytheists, people. Nobody says, "Oh, you believe in Zeus? Well, I believe in Odin." Where on the internet can you show me Odinists fighting with
No, because
Zeus?
they don't take it seriously enough to kill
No,
each other.
no, they never did. In
Oh,
ancient
come
Greece.
on.
No, in ancient Greece, people had different gods inside the same society, and were not killing each other.
Well,
That's that's a
okay,
modern.
the Spartans and Athenians fought with each other in the
Not over
Peloponnese War.
gods, not over. Yeah, they wanted territory, or there was other problems, but they weren't like you're worshiping the wrong god. You don't have the one true religion. That's not what it was over.
Well, even in church history, we know that all these sort of, theological differences between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox
That's because
Church.
they're monotheists that think that they need to have the one true religion and everyone else is wrong. That's why
No,
you
no,
don't.
no. There were already one church, right? And then for political reasons, because it was too unwieldy, it was too big already. So the Byzantine Church separated from the Catholic Church, and they had their different. They had their
No,
different.
don't give me monotheist history to tell me what polytheists are going to do.
No, I'm saying even if monotheists fight, then all the more will polytheists fight.
No, well,
And
they
you,
didn't. That doesn't prove an evidence from the past or today. Polytheists online or not, you're a fucking idiot. You don't know the truth. We don't do that.
Well, because there are no real pagans. I mean,
Yes,
if you
there
call
are,
us,
Claire. Claire, neither in the past nor now were there religious wars between polytheists.
they wouldn't say it was about religion if there were, because I'm sure
No, Claire,
when we
now you're
did.
saying now there's a conspiracy. It was all about religion, but nobody would openly say it. That's like ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Even okay, Greek civilization. The Greeks have the same language. They worship the same gods, more or less. Are we agreed on that?
Well, they didn't all have the same household deities. No, they worship different gods from each other. I mean, and also, I mean, they didn't wage wars of retribution against Egypt for worshiping the wrong god.
Well, the reason why Sparta and Athens went to war was, well, okay, it was a political thing, right? Because the Spartans had a different political system to the Athenians, who were democrats, and they really hated each other just because they ran their countries differently. And
Well,
eventually they went to
okay,
war.
okay. Well, under secular paganism, there's one law, so then we get rid of the political differences, or at least some of them. Now, you don't want to get rid of all political differences, but you want to have at least a universal system that all pagans adhere to. But it's not actually a system. It's a set of laws that you can add into any system. It's a set of laws that it could be totalitarian, it could be democratic, it could be communist, it could be capitalist, it could be whatever. You just need to add these laws into your legal system. But I mean, if they're all agreeing on that, and they all have that agreement, they're not going to get into wars over gods. No, I don't see modern day Odinists, flaying alive Zeus worshippers or anything like that. No.
Yeah, but that's because they don't really believe in it in the same way that the
Claire, no, I don't
Athenians.
want to. You don't know that. First of all, people in the past didn't fight over it, even when they really did believe it. Don't tell me that people who have religions don't really believe in them. You can't say that. That's not for you to say. That's not for you to say.
Okay, we know from the history of the Peloponnesian War that the Athenians and the Spartans fought each other because of their different political system. So the Athenians operated a democracy, which the Spartans thought was ridiculous. So, I mean, I really think, if you always do something and a different group said you must never do this thing, then of course there's you'll be at daggers drawn eventually.
Okay,
because people don't want
to be. Look, modern polytheists, there's no problem. We're not. You're just.
Yeah, because you don't believe it enough
to. Yes, we do. We do. But they did it in
the.
They did not do it in the past.
Give me the name of
they
your.
Did not do. I'm not. I don't give out the name of my gods, and I don't have to. That's your religion. Don't impose your religion on me. My religion is not an evangelistic religion. I'm not supposed to go out and tell everyone about my religion. That's not what my religion is about.
Okay, it's some secret belief system you're too ashamed to share.
Not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. It's just not. It's not for everyone. I have beliefs that I do believe are for everyone, but I don't explain my religious system, and I don't have to. This is an Abrahamic thing that you need to go around explaining to every other person what it is that you believe about what's going on outside of space-time.
Well, of course you do, because you have the stronger narrative and you would push your advantage.
Look, this is not a perfect religion, so by going out and just explaining it to everyone, people are going to just poke holes in it and see everything that's wrong with it. And and it's not an evolving religion. It's stagnant. It stays in one place. And it would have to be, the only way that you could have a religion like that, it would have to be perfect, which it's not. So if it's not perfect,
beggars can't be choosers, right?
No, it would.
You just have to choose the best available.
No. People are looking for better all the time. They're looking to improve all the time. Not
but beggars can't be choosers. You can't get around the fact.
Well, if they enact the right laws, if they enact secular paganism, then they don't have to worry about that, and everyone can have their own private religion.
Okay, you need to persuade at least one person who agree with you, right?
No, I have, but but I'm not going. I don't have your plan that I need to get big media, presidents, kings, foreseers, and all this to pick up my cause and impose it on the population. I'm more like, let people know on the bottom, bottom up, get like the Christian model, like go after the slaves and the low class people.
Okay. You're going to go after the low IQ people.
Not low IQ. I'm going after the people on the peripherals of society who are not in the main power structure, who, the people on the periphery who are more likely to pick up a new idea.
People.
Yeah, who are more likely to pick up new ideas. That's all new
but
ideas.
They have no power and they are despised.
But Christians also had no power and were despised. But
so how long did it take after the death of Jesus for 300 years or something?
Okay, well, I have 300 years and you don't.
Are you thinking you might live for 300 years?
No, but no cult leader thinks that they're going to live for 300 years. You're the only one that, look, Claire, you're going to be disappointed with your expectations of what you want in this world. and I'm not going to disappoint myself. If I have 100 followers when I'm dead, I'll be glad, which would be 100 more than you have. And, I'm not looking, I wouldn't set myself up for failure. I'm not looking to become king, ruler, emperor of the earth.
Well, nor am I, but I'm just predicting that if the West corrects itself, it may not. I accept that possibility too, but it will correct itself with secular Quranism if it does. If not within my lifetime, after my lifetime. So that I feel, I feel more certain of that happening than of you getting your thing adopted. So you might as well come on over.
All you have to do is be a pagan, and you can see the validity of secular paganism. Okay, you're under attack. The monotheists want to get rid of you. You think that monotheism is corrosive. So it makes sense for your own survival and to keep ills out of society, you just ban monotheism. Isn't that what the Noahide laws do?
Yeah, but your fellow Americans will not be going along with your program.
If I have 100 years to paganize the population, then yes, I'm not going out in the street. See, this is you. It's the same thing with the Jews. You're going after the Jews are not going out into the street right now and be like, hey, everyone, we're going to enact the Noahide laws right now and ban Christianity. Like, of course they're not doing that. That would be retarded.
Well, of course they're not going to do that, but what they could be doing is to rank the 4 Gentile religions and get the support of
and give everyone a D. Give everyone a D. Everyone gets an F, not even a D, an F. Everyone gets an F, and that gets you nothing. This is your thing. Like, I got an F.
What do you mean get an F? Who's getting an F?
Everybody. Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism. Everyone gets an F under the Noahide ranking system, so it's a pointless system.
Well, I don't think all rabbis would say that. There are some Muslim-friendly rabbis. They exist. They're not that many of them, but they exist.
Yeah, okay, but the thing is that Islam added and subtracted. Even Maimonides said that even though Islam is not idolatry, but you can't practice it because you're negating the Torah. You've rejected the Torah.
Well, they could be using my system because at least I'm proposing to use a Jewish calendar.
Nobody's going to do that, Claire. No rabbi. You would have more luck if you just tried to entice the marginalized people into your system rather than trying to get elites to endorse it.
So who do you think would fall in line? I mean, the marginalized people are stupid and irrational.
No, they're not. I
can't think of anyone. They're all, even if they agree, they'd be too afraid of, disapproval in their group.
Okay, well, I don't think pagans that are not in the seat of power right now are stupid or this or that negative trait or that. I do believe they're marginalized. I think there's marginalized geniuses.
If they're pagans, they're anti-Semites and Islamophobes and hate Jesus.
So what? They were around before Jews and Islam.
There was a reason why they were
Muslims and Jews are anti-pagans. First of all, pagans were on the scene first. No pagan was sitting around being like, fuck the Jews, because there were no Jews in the beginning. And then the Jews came along and turned against the pagans. So if anyone's anti-anything, it's the Muslims and the Jews and the Christians who are anti-pagan first. So
but they won against the pagans. That is a point because of their superior organization.
Okay, and then now we have this exploding phenomenon of the return of paganism. The war isn't over.
Because people are retarded.
Everything with you is the war. Everything with you is the war's over. It's set in stone. It's no, it's not set in stone. It's reversing now.
Look, Vincent. The reason why you won't tell me about the names of your pamphlet.
No, you don't know.
Because you have no story.
First of all, I didn't know. I'm not it's not. How do you know that God didn't tell me to keep it a secret? How do you know that?
Well, you would say something like that.
No, I didn't. Well, maybe the gods want me to keep it a secret. And that's what I'm
Why?
doing.
Okay, so you're claiming to be some sort of a prophet.
No, I'm not. What am I prophesying? What have I prophesied?
Well, you said you've got some special key to the secret scripture.
No, I don't. I don't have any
God
special.
whispered in your ear and said, "Don't tell anybody what I've told you, Vincent."
Okay, well, God.
You
Lots of
just
people
made it
say.
up. Let's
Lots
go
of
with
people
that.
say God. Lots of people say God talked to them. If I did say that, I wouldn't be the first. Christians say it, Muslims say it, Jews say it. I spoke to God, and God spoke back to me and gave me this. Told me to do this with my life.
There were no
Told me to go here with
witnesses.
this life. Yeah, but people say that they spoke to God, and
Yeah,
God
he's a
told them what to
figure.
do. Okay, but even regular everyday Christians say I asked God what to do with my life, and God told me what to do.
Okay. I mean,
How do you know? How do you know it's not even told? How do you know the gods didn't send me signs and omens that I was reading? How do you know that, Claire?
well, because you hate God and
What? No, I hate your God. I don't hate the gods.
okay. So you insist there's more than one, and that will piss off the most powerful one and only.
That has nothing to do with that has nothing to do with the conversation. That has nothing to do with it. I don't believe that. The point is that I'm not preaching a religion. The gods have not sent me to preach a religion to people.
But then it won't work because people will say,
Yes, it
who are
will,
you to
because they'll say
tell?
we're under threat. I mean, that's like saying telling people to practice self-defense won't work. Yes, it will. Like people naturally want to practice self-defense. Everything that I put there is all self-defense. There's nothing in there that's like you
Yeah,
have to
you want
stand.
to ban the First
Uh,
Amendment.
yeah, for self-defense. A lot of people want to ban the First Amendment.
No, Americans are
Okay, you
fond
know,
of the First Amendment.
if I was telling people you had to stand on your head, yeah, people would be like, no, I'm not doing that. If I tell people, okay, you're a pagan, you want self-defense, you want to defend your society, and you think monotheism is corrosive, and you don't believe in tolerance, then here's the system for you. No magic, no gods, no frills, no nothing. And my religion is personal for me.
Okay, then it's not a religion,
Yes, it is.
Vincent.
It's my personal religion.
No, it's your belief system, which
Well,
is not
fine,
the
I have a
same as a
belief.
religion, because a
No,
religion only you can
you don't
only be a
have.
religion if more than one people
No,
believe in
who
it.
said that? I can have a one-man religion. Who said that? I
No, it's
I
just
can
a
have a
belief
yes,
then,
I
a
can. I can
personal belief.
a religion. If it binds me to the gods, religion rebind, then it's a religion. It's a
Okay,
religion.
but it only
And if
binds
I okay,
you.
what if I told everyone? But everyone can have my religion. Just speak to the gods, and they'll tell you what you have to do. As long as you don't break the laws of secular paganism, you won't get in trouble. And that's a religion. If you tell everyone to just commune, go out into nature and commune with God, and ask God what to tell you, and God tells you, then I don't see how that's not a religion.
Well, I don't think you have the moral authority or the air of a prophet about you.
But I'm not pretending to be a prophet.
But you are if you're promoting a new religion.
I'm
Or
not
you're
promoting.
going to be at least a cult leader.
I'm
Oh,
promoting a
okay,
legal system. I'm promoting a set of laws, not a religion.
okay. So you're going to lead the charge against the First Amendment. Maybe
Yes, but
there probably
I'm
are
not the
people who
first.
want to abolish it.
I'm not the
Are
first
there?
one.
I'll,
I'm not the
okay,
first one. And it would
but
first
the
of all,
Christians
yes,
want to
but
abolish it.
that's not right away. That's not it's not like anyone's trying to do this tomorrow. This is long-term project. I'm
Well,
not
it's so
being like
long
this.
term that you don't think you're even going to be around when it
So
happens.
what?
Come on.
Charles Taze Russell didn't live to see 8 million followers. He still got there. I mean, how do you know Charles Taze Russell isn't looking down from somewhere or doesn't know what happened? How do you know he doesn't know where his flock got?
Well, I mean, how many adherents did he have by the time he died? That was quite a
Not
few
not not
already.
8 million, not 8 million, and it's yeah, not 8 million. He didn't get to that number. And who knows what it'll grow to. I mean, you might just, oh, it's only 8 million. You never know. In another 150 years, there might be 50 million Jehovah's Witnesses on the face of the earth. Like, you know what I mean? Or there could definitely be 50, 60, 70 million Mormons in the next 100 years.
Well, okay. I mean, the important thing is that, you know, it actually takes off. Not that, it has some theoretical possibility of taking off. And I'm pointing out to you. I do hope the Machine Lies joins us because he's in the chat. Okay, so he had a few followers. By the time he died, there was a bit of scandal because he was cheating a few people, or some people claimed that he had cheated them. And I guess his Christianity was popular because it gave people who were anti-war a reason to join and still say, I'm Christian.
Well, we'll
right?
see. I mean, I'm giving pagans,
that was the utility of him to.
I'm just organizing pagans without telling them what to believe. I'm organizing. It's an organizing. No, there is. You always say we don't have any laws banning monotheism anywhere on this earth. We do not have that.
Okay, well, people don't want to ban. I mean, okay, if you want to ban monotheism, I think you're going to come up against a huge mountain opposition.
That's what the no-hide laws are trying to ban polytheism, and I don't see people protesting it, or they're a lot more advanced than I am. I don't see people being like, oh, what, you want to ban polytheism? Oh my God, how dare you? Like, people are not like flipping over. It's especially if you're not being threatening about it. If people found out like that I was trying to ban monotheism, most people are going to be like, okay, well, that's nice, but I'm not really worried about that today. I'm not worrying them over it now when I have no followers. I'm not going to go out and like gung-ho, guns blazing.
Okay, then nobody will really get you.
Yeah, no, that I'm taking from other cults. Yes, that other cults didn't necessarily need to go in guns blazing. I mean, I know there are 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses, but they have a more slow program about them. They want to do it the right way. They don't want to compromise. If Jehovah's Witnesses compromise, they could have millions and millions and millions of people. If they allowed you to get drunk, if they allowed you to take drugs, if they didn't disfellowship you for getting pregnant out of wedlock, if they let you do whatever you wanted like the Catholic Church does, there would be billions of them. But, they decide to be more puritanical. I'm more puritanical. I'd rather grow slowly and the right way than make compromises and become this big fat pig.
Well, I've got lots of principles. I've got principles coming out of my ears. And people know what they are.
So do I. Yeah, well, I'm not giving up on mine just for earthly success. Like immediate earthly success. No, I wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't consider numbers over quality success.
Vincent, you contradict yourself. On the one hand, you say you are looking to the long term. On the other hand, you reject the possibility of God.
I didn't reject
of the Abrahamic God.
Yes, that doesn't mean I can't think long term.
Yeah, but it's not logical. Vincent,
no, I don't want you don't. It's not that it's not logical. This is not what you believe. I understand that it's not what you believe. Don't drag me into what version of God is logical because you don't know that, and I don't want to have that conversation. Just like I don't want to have conversations about what happens to us when we die. I don't want to have a conversation about where I'm going when I'm dead. You don't know. I don't know. It is a pointless conversation. We could be talking about this world, how to correct this world here and now, not these things that we never know the end to it.
Well, all we can confidently say is what the books say, what the scriptures say.
Okay. Yes. Well, I don't really take much account of what those scriptures say because they talk about things that can't be known. And I don't want to discuss.
But Vincent, you don't have to absolutely know what happens after we are dead. You just have to know that if people believe they will be rewarded or punished in the afterlife, then they will do the right
I'm not.
thing in
Yeah,
this
well, I
life.
know, and they won't maintain it forever because they'll just say, "Well, this is all fairy tales, so let me give this up," and then they'll
So
probably even.
the government needs to give them the green light to believe in it and reward people who are,
It'll break
virtuous.
down anyway because it's not based on truth, logic, and morality, and so it'll collapse.
How do you know? I mean, the
It's
only reason
collapsed
why
a
it's
hundred
broken
times.
down.
Okay, Muslims don't even keep the laws. They don't fucking want to keep the laws. Christians,
Yeah, because the ones who live in the West don't, because the West has a culture of promiscuity.
well, yeah, if you have this system that nobody wants and nobody will implement, then it's a garbage system.
Well, there are a few people who want to return to traditionalism and
Okay,
to
well, let them try and see how long that lasts for them until their
yeah.
sons
So
and daughters escape it again. Yeah, you just want the cycle of imposing religion, rebellion against religion, imposition of religion, rebellion of religion. It's just this
which is why
constant.
you have to impose this sort of belief from generation to generation.
But it doesn't. It's been proven a proven track record of not lasting.
Well, okay, use this analogy then. It's like you walk every now and then you fall over, but that's not the end because you can pick yourself up and start
No,
walking
this is
again.
not this. It's no, it's and these Muslim nations are not desirable places to live. The proof is in the pudding. Nobody wants to live like that. They can't maintain it, and nobody wants to live there. So the proof is in the pudding. The Beyondist would say, okay, you've had your chance. You cannot create a stable society that lasts on a system like that, and nobody wants to live in your country. So yeah, unless they've totally, the only places people want to go in the Middle East are places that have totally westernized and where you can drink alcohol, like Dubai. That doesn't count anymore. You can get drunk in Dubai.
Hmm. Have you
Yeah,
been
I
to
actually have a
Dubai?
friend who no, oh no, but I actually have a friend who moved to Iran, and he's white. He was born here. He
I
converted
know
to Islam.
these outliers. Yes, I know there's outliers.
Well,
Yeah,
you said
I know.
nobody, but
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I know you took that a little bit too seriously. But anyway, Claire, why don't you
no, it's
talk to
just
this gentleman
it's a false
because
statement.
okay, Claire, why don't you talk to this gentleman because I've spoken to him before and I'm not really interested in having these types of conversations. I mean, when
It's
somebody
okay.
says
I could actually
no,
leave if you want. It's not a big
no,
deal.
I'll let you talk to Claire. I'll let you talk to Claire because I have to go anyway.
Yeah, I have to go in a little bit too. I came on because Claire asked me to, but
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on, Machine.
yeah,
Who's
no
that
problem.
person in your avatar smoking a joint, or is it a
Uh,
cigarette?
it's Grace Thorpe. She's an online influencer. Yeah, she's not worth looking up.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you like about her?
I've just encountered her a couple times. I don't really like her,
Okay.
but yeah, I thought this was a funny picture. Sort of
Mhm.
screenshotted her smoking a cigarette.
Oh, right. Right. Yes, I think we've annoyed Vincent, but I mean,
my presence has annoyed him. But
well, I think he's a space we might gang up on him or something. But
well,
but
last time I think we had a pretty argumentative conversation. I think he said he wanted to take kids away from parents who believe in flat Earth. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. But yeah,
oh, I don't think I was there for that.
right.
No, but I mean, I wasn't actually just completely attacking him, but I was saying this is a battle of narratives, and by that I mean you know, all these conspirators, they have their own story. And the difficulty with all these people with their different, stories is that it's not familiar to most people. And people don't immediately know. And if they want to, it can be a bit boring with lots of, you know, um, so I mean, that's why I guess it's not very popular. it's not very popular with women, I guess, with their ADHD, and possibly not even with men, because people just want to be able to talk about general subjects, and they don't want to have to listen to a 3-hour lecture about this thing that they've never heard about. And so I'm saying the divine narrative is, it's like, if you have a government narrative and you don't like the government narrative because you think they're corrupt and incompetent, and you want to move the government narrative and policy aside, I think the only thing you have left is the divine narrative. So this was what I was trying to explain to Vincent. This is powerful because even atheists who don't believe in God know the story, right? They know the story. They may not like the idea of God, but they know the story of Moses and Jesus and blah blah and blah blah, and that gives the story its power.
Yeah, I mean, in the society, it's going to be based on families and what your family teaches you, whether that's liberal values or religious values. And the fact is that the only way to get rid of this sort of influence, right, was proposed by Plato, right? When he wrote the Republic, he said, actually, you should allow a certain class of citizens within the society to be chosen through genetic lottery, right? So that the parents don't know who their kids are, right? And so this process of births is going to be hidden, right, from the parents, right, so that they won't be allowed to have partners and all that stuff, and they'll be part of a military class, right? But the problem with this is that it totally destroys patriarchy, right? When the kids don't know who their father is, right? So Islam really created a system where you could not only maximize childbirths, right, because you have multiple wives, right, but also you have a system where all of the kids who are part of that system, right, like one father is able to have is able to produce hundreds of children, but a woman can only produce like 9 if she's lucky. And these days that's pretty much impossible with all the processed food and all of that type of stuff. So so it's pretty obvious that we're living in a society that's not conducive to A, family, and B, patriarchy, right? And that's going to mean that there's going to be kids in the society who don't know who their father is, right?
Yeah,
and
it's a terrible thing because I was talking to, oh yes, E. Michael Jones was talking to Candace Owens. I highly recommend that people listen to that exchange about Oedipus Rex, the tragedy of Oedipus Rex, because Oedipus the king, he later became king, but he was abandoned or something, and then he was looked after by a shepherd, and then he became a fine man, but he killed his father in a road rage accident without knowing who his father was. And then he met his mother, who was a queen, but he didn't know at the time it was his mother, and he married her and obviously had sex with her. And when he discovered the terrible thing that he had done, he pulled his eyes out. But this is the problem when you don't know who mum and dad are.
Yeah, and I think Plato saw a lot of those stories as immoral, and that was also somewhat of a problem because his stories did not have stable traditions, right? And they spread through through the Alexandrian framework, and they led to espousing a generalized system. And I think that's part of the problem. Welcome, Bruno. I didn't mean to scare you away, but I'm a huge fan of you.
Yeah, we both like you, Vincent. So yes. So what were you saying about lineage and that sort of thing? Because I think that's Vincent's thing about knowing who you're descended from, and that's very important. I don't think Vincent thinks it's very important, or does he?
No, of course I do. Of course I do. I'm a eugenicist. I think it's very important what your lineage is. Yes.
But what do you think of IVF? Sorry, AID, artificial insemination by donor, because isn't it dangerous that you might
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
I mean, you should
be
know who the
inseminated by
donor
the
is.
sperm of your brother?
Well, I mean, they usually test for that previously, but um, uh, I didn't think it's the. I think artificial insemination by donor is if you shouldn't do it if you know nothing about the donor, because then it depends on how much you know about the donor. Okay, let's say, is it better to get inseminated by someone who had a good psychological profile, good track record in school, has a good job, has good health, is attractive, and you can see a picture of them? Is that better than just going for some random, disgusting, gross, stupid person? Yeah, probably. But it's not ideal. Like, ideally, you would want to meet this person, get to know them, like, have other people around you know them, monitor them. Also, you'd want to know their family. You'd want to know their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their fathers, because that has a bearing. Like in the eugenics books, it says if you're going to marry someone, first meet their family because you want to check out the DNA of the family, that kind of thing. So artificial insemination by donor is not number one on the list, but well, okay, and then it would change. Let's say that you had an organization that was vetting these people, and then you had a group of people that vetted them, and then they would inseminate women who they didn't necessarily know. That's also a little bit different, isn't it? Because, the people who were whatever in charge of the breeding program would have an idea of what they were breeding. But generally, no, you don't want to just walk into a sperm bank and just get any old sperm.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. I mean, I would ban it.
Well, I wouldn't ban it because if you did want to, let's say that you had a governing body that was vetting these people, then that would be a little bit different. But this is voluntary. This is not being forced on people. You know what I mean? It's just you would, have to go before a governing body to be, or they would have to know you or whatever. It would depend on the situation.
Why would people choose to have kids in a situation like this?
Because they're not you, because they're like me, because they're beyond this, because they're different, because they're not the average person. I'm not giving this to like everybody. I know you personally would not do that, but if you were a eugenist cultist, maybe you would. Yeah.
So your answer is because you have the particular set of beliefs that you do.
And temperament.
Right, but you can't expect everyone to follow those beliefs and temperament. So my question again is, what would entice people to?
If they're a eugenicist, if you're a eugenicist who believes in selective breeding in order, and
right.
you believe that's
if
the best
you're a eugenicist, right? But everybody's
yeah.
not one, right? So
okay,
how would
I'm
you
not looking for everybody.
to...
I'm not a Muslim looking to get everybody. I'm not looking to get everybody. I'm not looking to get everybody.
No, but you're saying that you should implement this in a society as a whole.
Just because you open up a clinic that vets people for their sperm doesn't mean everybody
no
needs to
society
get
would allow
involved.
you to. No society would allow you to open up such a clinic unless
Yeah,
it's
they're already.
approved.
We have sperm donor clinics now.
Are they private or are they government approved? They're government approved. I'll have you know.
Okay,
that's a ridiculous statement.
You just said nobody would allow me to run a sperm clinic.
Yeah, exactly. They're approved by the government. The government would allow you to run your private sperm donor for eugenic purposes.
Well, first of all, they don't even need to know
that I'm
doing that. Yes, they would.
So you're going to secretly do it.
No,
so you're going to secretly have a eugenic.
They can't.
You're going to have a secret sperm bank. So your solution is to have a secret sperm bank.
No, they can't stop. They cannot stop people from breeding together for whatever purpose.
Right. But
they can't. So if they're I'm not proposing a secret. I'm just saying that a bunch of people get to know each other and they say, okay, this is how we're going to breed in our strategy. No, the government can't stop that.
I'm pretty sure they can.
No, they can't. They can't stop breeding. They can't stop breeding. It doesn't even need to be an official organization. It could be it could be like, a club of, it doesn't even need to be written down on paper. It could just be people making breeding decisions. It's not, the government can't get involved in your breeding decisions.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if it's just decisions, if it's people privately making decisions,
Yeah, and
of course they can, yeah.
all decisions. Any time a woman goes to a sperm clinic, she's making a decision. All I'm saying is that if you want to improve sperm clinics, then, or AID, or artificial insemination by donor, you should have people who know these
What if they don't
people
want
a
to
little
have
bit
kids?
more.
What if they
Well
don't want
then,
to continue
okay,
society?
well then that's not, then I'm not going after those people. I'm not
Right,
going
but what if
after
it ends up
them.
being a majority of people in the, you know?
Okay, well, what if the majority start eating shit? I don't know. Like, yeah, it could happen, but I'm not betting on it.
Right, but wouldn't you want it to be a majority of people, right?
Well, if you spread the eugenic religion, I mean, polytheists and eugenicists and all these people had lots of children. Nothing stopped them. They didn't give up on it. Nothing stopped them. Margaret Sanger had children, even though she was a non-theistic or a pseudo-theistic eugenicist. She had 3 children.
But you also said that the children don't necessarily belong to the parents.
I didn't say that. I never said that.
Well, I thought you said that CPS take away your kids. You try to force them to have a religion or something like that, or something.
If you're punishing your children for not believing in God and not feeding them, yeah, I think you should have your children.
So they don't
taken away.
necessarily belong to the parents either.
No, well, not for. They belong to them until they've done something to abuse the child, and then the child is taken away. Yeah. If you're not abusing your children, there's no reason for them to be taken away or for you to.
So in this society, eugenic society of sperm donors, when
it wouldn't all be that. First of all, it wouldn't all be that. This would be something that's happening in a larger, broader society of people would be breeding the normal way. There would be breeding programs.
Right. Like how would you ensure? Like how would you ensure that the parents would be in the life of the kid at all?
Well, they would have the child. You know who the mother and the father is.
Right.
You know who they are.
Right. You know who they are, but what's to compel them to be in the kid's life, right?
Well, especially the mother. And okay, well, most people are not going to willingly go to a sperm bank to abandon their children.
I think most people in this type of society would not have parents, most likely, but that's just calculation.
Well, I also believe in the monstrous system of communal child rearing. So, I mean, you would know who your parents are. Yes. It's not like you would have to know who your parents are in a eugenic society. And actually, in a eugenic society, it would behoove you to be close to your parents because then you can learn about yourself. So a eugenic ideology would probably want you to know who your parents are.
Right. But if there's like sperm in a sperm bank and then you choose a sperm, and then you have to track down the father?
No, I said
that seems like a very cumbersome process.
I said not to do that. I said, okay, never mind. I said the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. I'm sorry. If you could just explain a little bit of the details.
I said you would have this. I said that the least desirable outcome is to go to a sperm bank and pick out the sperm of some random man you've never met. I said that was the least desirable of all the systems. And I said it would be better if there were vetting systems, you got to meet this person, or there were other people who were investigating them and who knew them.
Right. That's how a religious society works.
It was a communal.
That's how Islamic societies work for years. It was a communal system, where everybody would know each other and the families would know each other. So that's what you're proposing.
Not exact, but within a eugenic religious system.
Okay.
Not just, I like you, you like me, or my mom and your mom get along. Like it would have to be something, more of a breeding strategy than that. But yes, the point is not for everyone. Look, most people can't divorce love and reproduction. Most people can't do that. So let them do it. But, I'm just trying to create a eugenic class in society that follows eugenic practices. And then then they can have more power. Like the Jews have power for a reason. Their culture is different. They have a better culture.
But look
You know,
at
if
but
you
look at like a Jew like I'm like I'm like Eric Weinstein, right? He worked for the UN, right? And the goal was to spread multiculturalism, right? So the Jews, they want to spread multiculturalism in other countries, right?
they're not,
I'm sure
well,
you
those are liberal secular Jews. I'm talking more about people who actually take the religion seriously.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not talking about Jews that don't practice Judaism. There's, you know,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't
I
really
see what you're saying.
consider them Jews. I don't consider them
Yeah, me
Jewish.
either. Yeah.
But the Jews have been around for a long time and they have a lot of power. And even liberal secular Jews still have the benefit of coming out of a Jewish culture. There's still something about them, of those cultural traits, like, you know, the constant referencing of material. Jews are very good. Their religion is like a lawyer's religion. You have to be a lawyer to understand their religion. So coming out of those types of households, yes, you're going to have a very systematic way of learning. And I think that helps Jews become more academically prestigious than Catholics, who hardly pay any attention to legalistic matters like that. Catholics
Yeah,
have lower rates of education than Protestants for a reason. There's a reason why Catholics are at the bottom.
yeah. I mean, go back to the original point. I think that a society that practiced that had sperm donor clinics, right, and in which the children could be taken away from the parents because the government decides so, right? I think that society is a lot less conducive to families, which I think are the focal point of society, is good families, right? So
Okay, but
Islamic
even
societies have functioned for 1,500 years.
not people aren't emigrating to them in mass numbers. You leave your
That's not
society.
that's not the measure of success. Is
Yeah,
emigration.
if nobody wants to live there and you don't even practice your own religion properly, then nobody wants it. Muslims don't even practice their own religion properly because they don't want to.
Yeah, but they, I mean, as Claire said, they follow values that their religion teaches more than
Yeah,
they
but
do
not
in the
all of
West.
them. They pick and choose.
No, yes, they do. No, yes, they do. Like, for example, the promiscuous, the spread of promiscuity in the West. As she mentioned, so they do, follow
Not
their
all.
religion
They
more.
not all of just because they. Okay, the Muslims say, well,
Well, you're doing no true,
the
true
Muslims.
Scotsman.
No, but the Muslims will say the only reason our religion is desirable is because we don't follow it all the way. Like, that's
Look,
not.
which
That's not
Muslims
an
are you talking about?
advertisement.
You can't just talk about whichever Muslims you want to talk about.
What Muslim country besides
You have to talk about Muslims.
What Muslim country besides 2 or 3 of them practice the full Sharia the way it's supposed to be implemented?
What system? There's many different laws of Sharia. There's many different systems.
Who has a legitimate, like a real legitimate Sharia system? Who? Besides, I don't know who they are. Maybe Saudi Arabia. I can't remember.
I could say the same thing to you. Who has a real democratic system in the West?
You know, what do you mean we don't have? We have we have elections that are not rigged.
No, they're totally rigged. They're 100%.
No, okay, you can't prove that. No one's ever proved that. There's no reason to believe they're rigged.
You live in a totalitarian socialist system. I mean,
they're not rigged. They're obviously not rigged.
Where's the functioning democracy on Earth? Where does it exist?
It's in America. We have a functioning democracy.
Yeah, it's ruled by Israel. What are you talking about?
No, we vote. We're a voting democracy. We voted in Donald Trump.
Yeah, and the Jews get more votes. Yet there are less people.
Don't.
Yeah, they do.
They don't.
Yeah,
get
they do.
More
Everybody
votes.
knows that.
Yes,
everybody knows that.
That's conspiracy theory.
Okay.
That's conspiracy. That Jews get weighted votes is.
Okay, well, where did you get the idea that no Muslims follow their religion? There's over 1 billion Muslims on Earth, and they follow their religion. They're the most religious group on Earth.
I put it on countries, and I said, name me a country that has a legitimate full Sharia system.
It's not by countries. We live in a global system. It's not about countries anymore.
Okay, well, nobody follows it fully the way it's supposed to. No country,
sure
no
they do.
institution.
Sure they do.
Which one? Which one fully that doesn't have Fugazi Sharia?
No, not by countries, by people. Nobody follows eugenicism.
Okay.
Nobody follows eugenicism. It's a moot point. Nobody follows your fake religion. You claimed earlier it's a religion of one. No, you follow a religion of one. No, look. You follow a religion of one.
That's different than eugenics.
You follow a religion of one, and so do I. I follow a religion of one too. Look,
That's
you follow a
different than
religion of one.
eugenics. No, there's plenty of eugenicists. I'm not the only eugenicist.
Look, I follow a religion of one too. Let's talk about it. You follow a religion of one. I follow a religion of one too. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about our particular set of beliefs.
Eugenics is not a religion of one person.
You said earlier it was.
Yes, but my religion extends beyond
eugenics. First of all, it's not a religion; it's a social program.
It's beyond. My religion extends beyond eugenics. But if you want to talk about the eugenic religion, there's plenty of followers. Yes.
What is the eugenic religion? I thought it was a social program.
It's the idea that you can improve that human happiness and contentment can be brought about through breathing, and even spiritual well-being can be brought about through breathing.
So, who follows this religion? You said there's lots of people who follow this religion.
Well, there are eugenicists. Yes, I'm not the only eugenicist on Earth.
So they claim that spiritual health is through breeding? I've never heard anybody say that.
If they're spiritual about it, yes, they would say that. Yes, there were the perfectionists that tried to breed spiritual qualities into people so that they would be noble spiritually.
But wait, who are these people? It seems like you just made them up. I mean, I don't know.
The perfectionists are a real cult. They died out, but they were trying.
So they're dead. They're gone.
Okay, you can try again.
So your way of life. So you're saying that Islam is falling away and failing, but your way of life is completely falling away and failing.
Okay, but your religion is not practiced properly. Your religion is not practiced properly. So
according to you,
yeah,
according to you,
you don't
know what the right practice is. You don't know what the right practice is. The only practice is the 5 pillars. There's hundreds of billions of Muslims who follow those.
The government is supposed. Look, Islam.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Sharia law. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. Let me stop you there. Implementing a legal system is not the entire practice of Islam. That's not the entire.
I didn't say it was the entire practice, but it's part
of
it.
So how are there not Muslims who follow their religion by following the 5 pillars?
No, look, just like under. Okay, so then your religion's not.
You just want.
Your religion is not as good as.
You just want 2 wrongs make a right.
Under the Noahide laws. Under the Noahide laws, they have a much better religion than you, because if you do not set up governments, you're warred upon. So you just are not serious. Just because you're not serious about setting up your governments doesn't make you good.
No, you're not serious about setting up anything.
You're not.
Because you don't have any followers.
You're not serious. First of all, as a eugenicist,
I'm totally serious.
I'm totally serious. I don't need followers. I don't. There's
you do.
Plenty of. Not as a eugenicist, there's already. How do you know I'm not a follower? Actually, I'm not looking for followers when it comes to eugenics. I'm a follower. I follow other people's ideologies. So I don't know why I need followers if I'm not even the head.
You said the people you follow, their cult is dead.
No, they're not the only cult that I follow. Beyondism's not dead. The birth control movement's not dead. These things are not dead. These ideologies didn't die out.
So you're saying that Islam died out, but the cult you follow is completely dead.
People don't. No, Beyondism is not completely dead. It's not.
It is. It's way more dead than Islam. I mean, look around.
It's brand new. I mean, how could it? It's just starting out. It's a baby. It's an infant.
Yeah, but you said it. They were born and it died.
The perfectionists. You know what? It's not fun to talk to you because you don't listen to me. I said the perfectionist.
I'm trying to.
I gave you a cult, a particular cult, not all the eugenic cults. I gave you one particular cult that did die out. That doesn't mean that its practices can't be restored. But you put words in my mouth and say that I said things I never said.
Okay, well, okay. Just go ahead and explain yourself. I'm sorry about that. I'll go ahead and
no, because it's not really. It's not a useful, productive conversation.
Well, I disagree. I'm learning more about eugenicism and all of that type of stuff. Way of life I was hardly aware of before I talked to you today. So you're definitely teaching me many things. So if you consider that a plus point, then consider yourself a job well done, sir. It is what it is.
Oh, well, I guess I've never met a Muslim who said implementation of Sharia has nothing to do with Islam or is not essential.
No, Islam is following the 5 pillars.
without any leaks. So and you have there's absolutely no compulsion to set up a government.
Oh, sure there is.
Okay, so then what's your point? That's what I was talking
That
about.
that it's not a primary feature of the faith itself.
Okay, but it is a compulsion or it's not a compulsion.
A compulsion doesn't mean it's a primary feature, sir.
Okay,
So
if it's a compulsion in the religion, you're supposed to be doing it, which they're not doing.
Sure, I agree with that.
Okay, well then they don't want to do it. They're not doing it because they don't want to do it.
No, no. There's plenty of Muslims who want Sharia law, so
Okay,
I think that's
well then
false.
why aren't they accomplishing it? If even in their own countries they can't do it.
Well, there's many reasons for that. The main reason is because of technological society. If you want to go through that, we can do it.
We talked about that last time. So Islam will work once you get rid of technology.
That's not what I'm particularly saying, but I'm saying that the move from a religious consciousness to a technological consciousness, right, for most of the world's population has to do with the fact that science brings home the goodies and religion does not, right? So that's not that's a problem with religion in general and not just with Islam, I would contend. But the main thing is that, one has to contend then that religion is not a part of human life, but you would contend that it is. You would contend that people need a religion, that it makes them feel more whole, that, and you have one. So, anyways, I think a loss of religion in general has happened, and that's not just in Islam, right? That's in Christianity, Judaism, all of the religions because of the rise of secular humanism, right? I don't think anybody would contend that, right?
Yeah, well, but polytheism is not eroded away by secularism.
Oh, sure, it
or
has.
technology.
Polytheism has been totally eroded away.
Not by
There's almost zero polytheists
secularism or they were eroded away by monotheism, but people, first of all,
sure they are. There's many people who follow no, but let me stop you there. There's many people who dispel paganism using scientific principles and looking at the world as a mechanistic looking at it through the machine metaphor.
Paganism is rising. I've never met a pagan that said that technological society was a threat to our religion. I've never met one.
Paganism is rising. Can you prove this?
Yeah, the polytheism is increasing. There's way more polytheists than there were when I was a child as a polytheist. I was the only polytheist in my school.
Yes, but it's not an ancient tradition. See, the paganism that you're talking about.
Polytheism is more. No, polytheism is more ancient than monotheism. So this
but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, where are the principles, right? Where are the traditions, the pagan traditions that have lasted?
You don't need traditions.
You
don't need traditions.
Sure, you do.
No,
I think you do.
You think. All you need is the belief in pearl powers.
No, I don't think. How does a religion function without traditions? Please,
you don't, because it's plural powers. You have natural law, right? So you're not allowed to murder or steal because humans come to those conclusions on their own without the gods.
No, that's not a religion. Then you have no force to make people follow your laws because it's just liberal reason.
Yeah, most people are not going to revolt in the streets because you're protecting them from murder and theft.
Wait. If one guy in your pagan religion gets up and says, no, there's one God that rules over them all and you all are a bunch of dumb fucks, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's supposed. Well, okay, that's not part of the religion. I promote a legal system that would make monotheism illegal.
No, but what could you do about what? Okay, so you make it illegal?
So once there's enough pagans in society that want a legal system that would outlaw monotheism, then you could accomplish that. Yes.
So your whole so what's wrong with people implementing laws of their religion if it predominates in their society?
Well, I have a conviction that monotheism is incorrect, so I don't care if the majority wants it. I'm still going to fight against it.
That wasn't my question. I said, what's wrong with somebody implementing a religion in a society if if most people in that society think it's correct?
Well, it depends on what kind of religion it is.
No. I mean, what's the problem with that whole scenario at all?
Okay, well, in up in the sky, there is no problem, but I personally have a problem with it.
Well, how are you gonna implement your polytheist system.
Because I'm just going to pagans and I'm saying, do you want to be protected from murder? Do you want to be protected from theft? And if they say yes, then we can get along, and we just have to agree that each of us would have at least 3 gods or none, and that none of us would be monotheists or bitheists or soft polytheists.
So how would 10 of you guys go ahead and implement a religion in a society?
There would have to be more than 10. I'm not doing
Exactly.
this tomorrow.
Right.
So you have to you evangelize the gods, right? Just like Muslims evangelized. You evangelize the gods, you spread in society, and then once there's enough of you, under secular paganism, it says you're not supposed to attack unless there's good chance you'll win.
Is like 300-year plan. I see. Godspeed, or good Lord.
Well, but polytheism is spreading very quickly. All the Christians online are, Nick Fuentes wants us all to be killed and everything like that. When I was a child, there were no Catholic commentators that were reeling about polytheism spreading amongst the youth and how we needed to be killed. That didn't happen 40 years ago.
I mean, what if the Catholics just adopted paganism and just said, "Oh, we're pagans now"? Would that be sufficient for you?
Well, I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, I mean, they've already said Muslims and Jews worship the same God. It's not so hard for them to say, well, include Hindus in that, and then you're off to the horse races.
Well, that's what the Noahide Project is about, getting everyone under one.
Exactly,
system.
right? So what's wrong with that?
Well, I personally disagree with that system.
Right, but other than your personal qualms, because you're talking about things that should be implemented in general.
Okay, well, you could ask me what's wrong with human sacrifice. I could say I'm personally against it. I can't give you a bigger reason than that. I hope it's wrong. I'm not doxastic about it. I hope it's wrong. I want it to be wrong. Most people want murder and theft to be wrong. They want it to be wrong.
We could say, well, God created life and life is sacred.
I know, but most people already want murder and theft to be wrong.
Yeah, but there's, perhaps 1 billion people who think that you shouldn't kill because life is sacred because God created it, right? What's wrong with that?
Okay, but I'm saying that you don't even need that. You don't need to bring all this in. Pagans already had laws against murder and theft in their societies. So
no, they didn't.
Yes, they did. I know. All you Muslims claim that, like in ancient
Well, hold on.
So look.
First of all, they practice human sacrifice.
Not all of them did. Not all of them did.
The pagans practiced human sacrifice.
Not all of them did. Not all of them.
Oh my God! Way more than the Muslims and the Jews and the Christians.
The Romans.
The thing you were just pointing out.
The Romans and the Greeks condemned the Phoenicians for sacrificing their children. They did. They also condemned the Syrians for practicing incest. So there was not, and then also natural law. Natural law builds on itself. So when we were all like total savages, did people rape and murder? Yes, but eventually, not that long after, they figured out, okay, we can't do this, or we're going to collapse. So the next, if they didn't quite get to human sacrifice, not all the societies, the Romans and the Greeks did, who said we're not going to sacrifice our children or practice incest. And, so it builds on itself. Natural law builds on itself.
Yeah, but look at this. In Aristotle's Politics, right, he says that pederasty is fine because you could use it to control the population, right? So he says that you could use it to control the number of births in a society.
Okay, well, Muhammad married a 9-year-old, so I don't see what the problem is. I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So, I mean, not that I don't have a problem with pederasty, but you're acting as if like pagans were the only ones who had a problem with that.
Well, are you calling arranged marriage pederasty?
If you're sleeping with a 9-year-old girl, then you're in your 50s.
There's no proof of that. But the pagans were
that they consummated. There was plenty of child marriage going on, and child marriage still goes on in Islam.
The pagans had child marriage.
Oh, then Muhammad.
So what are you talking about? What are you complaining about?
Muhammad consummated his marriage with her when she was 9 years old.
No, that's false. That's a false story from a.
I know. But I know that's what Muslims. Half the Muslims say it's true. The ones who take their religion seriously say it's true.
So half the Muslims don't even believe what you're saying.
No, I know.
But the pagans.
They're
pagans sacrifice children. But the pagans sacrificed children and had sex with children. and had sex with children.
Not all of them.
Most of them did. Most
Not
of them
all
practiced that.
And Muslims who take their religion seriously do say she was consummated at 9. They say that you're just liberals that are trying to hide it. You're scared of people now. You're not proud of your past. That's why.
No, you're not proud of your past of child sacrifice and pederasty.
Well, it changes. Yes, you adopt new.
No, your pagans are practicing
natural law, pagan natural law.
What's wrong with pagan? What's wrong with pagan natural law practicing pederasty?
Because it builds on itself. Because you could damage a child if you do that.
What's wrong with the pagans?
So natural law.
Your pagan traditions don't even disapprove of it.
I don't have traditions.
See, that's the problem, though.
No, I just believe in plural powers. I don't need traditions to believe in plural powers.
In my religion, the punishment the punishment for graping or having sex with a kid and all of that stuff is death. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, the point.
But your religion doesn't have any traditions, so you can do that in your religion because it doesn't have any traditions.
Laws. I have natural law. I've already renounced. Yes, pagans can renounce. If you build on natural law, if you're damaging children, that's not going to help your society. It's not. So you can. It took a while for us to figure out.
There's pagans that are sacrificing kids today.
They took over
and doing rituals with kids today. What's your problem with it? There's not Muslims that are doing that. So what are you really talking about, dude? You're not really protecting the kids.
Yes, if you have laws against pederasty, yes, you are.
What I just said. I said there's satanic rituals. There's people doing satanic rituals.
Okay, well, they're not. Well,
they follow paganism, though. They follow pagan traditions, though.
I promote secular paganism, which is natural law, not traditions, not old customs. That has nothing to do with me. All I believe in, all you need to know is that I believe in plural powers and no murder, no rape, no theft, no pederasty, no bestiality, none of these natural
Who's going to implement this?
That most people do not want to rape, murder, and steal. Most people don't want to do that. So you're asking me who's going to want to implement no murder and no theft. Most people, it's reciprocal. I don't want to be murdered. I don't want to be stolen from. So I want it to be illegal. Most people agree on that without God.
So you're anarchist?
No, I believe in rules and regulations.
So how should we implement these rules?
With punishments. If you murder, there's punishment. If you steal, there's punishment.
But if the rules are so general,
what's wrong? So kidnapping. Yes, you have to. So there's 7 categories of laws, right? So no theft. Well, that would include kidnapping because you're stealing, or slavery because you've stolen someone's freedom, or slander and libel because you've stolen someone's reputation. These different kinds of things.
Well, for example, right? If I make a cult in your society, right, and I say one of the gods out of all of them are the top god, right, and I do it in secret, right, which is going to happen, right?
If it's secret, nobody knows about it. Doesn't matter if you're just doing it in secret. No one, it's not affecting society.
Sure. I mean, every plot in history was secret at one point. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, well, we can. If they start to openly speak it out loud, then there would be punishment. If you're just in your house praying to a monotheist God and nobody knows about it, well, there's nothing that can be done about it.
You haven't stamped out monotheism.
No. Well, I don't follow. I actually took this from the Noahide laws, and in the Noahide laws, nobody can stop you if you want to go into your house and pray to multiple gods. Nobody can stop you.
Yeah.
You can't stop people from thinking something. You can only stop them from saying something.
Yeah, that's facts.
So yes, you would have to wipe out monotheism, but first you would need a pagan culture to even implement these laws, which is something that's reviving now. It's going to take a little bit of a time, but paganism isn't dying. It's, everyone, all these Christians are just, oh my God, all the witches and all the pagans and all the sorcerers and all the occultists, we have to get rid of them all. They're just, taking over the church.
Yeah, some of them sacrifice kids.
Okay, but if they're doing that, then Their natural law hasn't caught up and they won't survive. That's the point of natural law. If you don't do it, you don't survive. So if you're sacrificing children, most people are going to, the Romans and Greeks didn't like it. They chastised it. Most people are going to say, they chastised incest. So most people are going to say, that's the point of natural law. Let's say that you could say, oh, but these pagans murder and steal. Well, where are they? Do they have any power?
It seems like what you're calling paganism is really just liberalism.
No, it's paganism because it believes in plural powers. There is a belief in plural powers or none, or
exactly.
no gods.
So it's just liberalism.
Plural power. It's natural law. It's not liberalism. No murder, no theft is not liberalism. It's natural law.
No, natural law is science. I don't know what you're talking about. Natural law. What does that even mean?
Natural law. Okay, I'm not talking about that kind of natural law. I'm talking about
what does that mean?
Okay, the Noahide laws are natural laws. So God did not have to tell you to do those things for you to come to those conclusions on yourself. According to the Noahide laws, if there was no Jew on earth and you never read Talmud or Torah, you should be following the Noahide laws anyway because they make sense.
Okay, but there's rules to implement them, right? So you have to follow them, right?
Okay, no, do you know that you can be an atheist and be a Noahide? All you need to do is know that. Yes, you can.
Hold on. No, I mean, I think we're getting mired because I was talking about
natural law.
Society.
And I gave okay. Do you believe the Noahide laws are natural law?
No.
Okay, well, according to Jews, they are.
So who cares what Jews think?
Okay, well, most people consider the Noahide laws natural law if they're monotheists.
I don't believe that there's a such thing called natural law that God speaks through. What is
God did not? It's not that you don't need God. It's not revealed. It's something that humans. If you put a bunch of humans on an island, they would come to this law, this conclusion
so it's reason.
on their own.
So natural law is a law of reason, right? Like Locke says, right?
If you don't do it, you'll collapse. It's fine, then don't survive. It's do it or survive or die.
What is natural law? I'm just trying to figure out what is natural law.
Natural law. If you don't do it, you won't survive. You won't be able to live. You won't be able to live.
Who implements that?
If you're all murdering the people,
so nobody implements it.
No, they do. They come to the conclusion collectively.
Yeah, like Locke says, in natural law, every man is the executioner of natural law. I mean, what are you talking about?
No, okay. And if it was ancient, probably what happened in ancient times is the tribal leader realized if all my men kill each other, there'll be no hunting force and we'll die out of starvation. So yes, either some individual or a collection of individuals needs to impose these natural laws for survival.
So they're rules.
It's a survival. It's a survival mechanism. It's like, okay, you learn as a child not to put your hand in fire because when you do it, you got burned. So humans learn that if you let all your men kill each other, you're not going to have hunters and you'll die out. So
yeah, that just sounds like science. It sounds like science.
It's a survival mechanism. You can't not do it. It happens naturally without anyone provoking
so how do you, Okay, so you don't have to impose it then. You don't have to make rules for it.
No, well, because because people look. I don't want to be murdered, but I don't want to be murdered, and I generally don't want to murder people because someone.
But you said nobody has to implement it.
No,
you just said that.
Yes, you need courts. Yes, that's part. One of the Noahide laws.
This is a huge contradiction.
One of the Noahide laws is set up courts. It's a natural law. You should come to that conclusion yourself.
I know, but if you come to it yourself, then and everybody comes to it themselves, and who's going to implement it? And
everyone, the people who believe in it, you would need, because there are people. Because just because you know something's right doesn't mean you're always going to do it.
I don't know. This kind of sounds like anarchy.
No, and just because you know something's right doesn't mean that you're not going to do it. I mean, just because you know something's wrong doesn't mean you're not going to do it. Or whatever. Just because you know something's wrong doesn't mean you're not going to do it. Just because you know something wrong doesn't mean you're not going to do it. You can still be tempted. Like, I know stealing is wrong, but what if
you have a very optimistic view of people?
No, I don't. I just said that people will still break rules even if they know they're wrong. That's not optimistic. Even if you know it's wrong, you can still break it. So yes, there needs to be enforcement. Okay, and if you don't have an enforcement mechanism, you'll collapse. It's just survival mechanism. survival mechanism. It's survival mechanism. And not everyone comes to the same conclusion all at the same time. Maybe the chief leader, because he was the chief leader, Saul was the first one to see, oh my God, my men are all killing each other. What am I going to do? So he had to implement a court. No, not everyone gets it all at the same time.
Right.
Not everyone gets it all at the same time. But if you put a bunch of people on an island, eventually no murder, no theft laws would emerge. Even if it was just top down, even if it was just the big leader at the top making sure his minions didn't, you know, and then maybe at first he exempts himself. Maybe at first he's allowed to murder and steal from other people, but then eventually they figure that out. It builds on itself. It's a building process. If the leader's murdering and stealing from everyone, then he's going to have resentment. People won't trust him. You know, it's just natural law. So I don't see why Noahide law can be natural law, but pagan law can't be.
Well, I mean, they're calling it natural law, so it sounds more scientific. But I don't think that terminology actually means anything. I think it's vacuous. So.
Well, it's laws that naturally, without any provocation, rise in the human population. Without any provocation, without revelation, without prophets, without any of that stuff.
Right, but if it's without any provocation, then the whole question becomes who's going to implement them. And then you said you need rules, so it's a huge.
Yes,
it's a huge problem.
Courts, no, you need a court system. Yes, that's one of the natural laws of the Noahide laws is to set up a court system. You don't need a prophet to tell you to do that.
Yeah, but if one does it, then it's not a problem, right?
If one doesn't, your society will collapse, and then you won't survive. It's about survival.
I mean, there's a billion Muslims on Earth, but liberalism's going down the tank.
Okay, set up courts or perish. That's the law. Set up courts or perish.
Right, but. Like
people come to that conclusion on their own. Without God didn't do it, prophets didn't do it. You just put them out in the desert, born as babies in the desert, never saw human life. Eventually, after a few centuries, if you left them alone, would they start picking up these no murder, no theft, no rape, no this, no that? Yeah, they might not get it all right away, but you know, will it slowly evolve? What
about the Aztecs? Did they know about no murder? Or?
Well, obviously, if they were doing human sacrifice, they had not evolved enough to that point. But that doesn't mean that they didn't. First of all, the Aztecs did have general no murder, no theft laws. If you went into an Aztec city and started butchering people, of course you would be arrested by the king. You know, you couldn't just go in and stab babies in a person's house. That's not how Aztec society worked.
Of course not. Yeah, of course not. But I mean, within a certain
context, they had one loophole, and they lost their empire over it. So then the pagans could be like, okay, well, if we do that, we're going to get in big trouble. So don't do that. It was builds on itself. It wasn't, you know, well, it's not a revealed system of perfection. It's a building. It's knowledge. It's not revelation. It's knowledge. You should be following the Noahide laws, whether there's any Jews on this planet to teach you them or not.
Why do you think that?
Because well, I don't think I don't think no polytheism is a natural law, but no murder, no theft, no animal cruelty, set up courts of justice, maybe like no adultery if you're in a committed relationship and the person expects you not to do that, or you've made a commitment not to commit adultery, because that's theft of you're stealing someone's trust. So it would be a theft law.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if everybody comes to the same conclusion about natural law, right? What is paganism? How is paganism? How is paganism tied to natural law? Is what I really want to get to, because
humans
kind of went on a side thing there.
Humans without any revelation. We don't need paganism is not a revealed religion, really, or plural powers is not a revealed religion. It's something that people naturally come to that conclusion if you just leave them. But yes, human polytheists, if you leave them alone long enough, will start naturally building ethical systems. And
Okay,
if we need to abandon tradition just for plural powers in order to move forward, then we'll do it. I do believe a lot of these traditions were problematic, yes. But, I'm a polytheist of this age, not, and it does build on itself. I mean, all the Muslims say, well, if your knowledge builds on itself, then it's bad. It just needs to be set in stone and like this revealed perfection.
Yeah, but you think your system of law should be set in stone too, because you need laws
No, I don't.
and you need rules to implement them, you want to outlaw monotheism, right? So you do want that.
No, my laws are not set in stone, but it comes with a warning. If you allow murder and theft in your society, you'll collapse. That's all I can say. Go ahead. You want to allow murder and theft in your society? See what happens to you. See where you get in this world.
Yeah, but who's going to enforce the law?
The people who actually believe in it.
So the people in general will enforce the law?
You know what? I think this is a stupid question. The laws, do you really think that in ancient societies, nobody knew how to enforce law? The king knew how to enforce law. There were guards.
Yeah, sure, because they had an administrative structure, sir. So what is your administrative structure that you're going to implement?
That wasn't revealed. That just they built themselves without any revelation. The gods didn't tell them to do that.
Sure, they did.
No, they didn't. Where's
your organic society? Where's your organic democratic society in ancient times?
I didn't say democratic. We were talking about enforcing rules.
What are you talking about?
We were talking about enforcing rules, that there were organic.
Yeah, but you said societies, if you leave them out in nature, they'll just develop laws because of reason and all this stuff. But where's the society that ever did that? That wasn't told by gods to implement their laws. Where is it?
First of all, polytheism was before monotheism.
Right, and their gods told them to implement their laws. So what are you talking about?
Where did the god? What?
Come on now.
What book of polytheism?
This is getting ridiculous.
Wait, what book of plural powers says don't murder, don't steal? What book of plural powers says that? I want to know where the gods.
So they don't even tell you not to murder and steal.
When did Venus say don't murder, don't steal? When did Zeus say don't murder, don't steal?
So let me get this straight. They don't tell you to murder and steal, the polytheist books.
They don't, because the polytheists didn't need their gods to tell them to not murder, so they already figured it out.
So they have no laws.
No, they didn't. Just because your laws don't come from God doesn't mean you don't have laws.
So you're saying that human beings made laws independent of their religious systems? No, that's false. That's false information. Where did that happen?
Well, first of all, if you gave people no religion, if you just put them on an island and gave them no gods, no religion, if you left them there for 1,000 years and you came back, if they had not evolved a system of ethics to implement, they would be gone or living in hovels or eating each other alive. But naturally, yes, they would, without a religion, without gods, without anything like that, they would create an ethical legal system. Even the Bible says that if people are left to their own devices, they create their own rules. The Bible admits that when you don't have God, their God in your life, you come up with your own way of life with its own ethical legal system.
I mean, where can you give an example of a society whose understanding of their legal principles was totally separate from their religious principles? In the past, in pagan times?
I've never seen a book of polytheism that teaches you natural law. I've never seen that.
Oh, sure. Ovid Metamorphoses.
That teaches you natural law?
Sure.
But I don't think...
It tells you like how the world is created, it has a cosmology.
You don't need the gods. You don't need the gods to teach you not to murder and steal. You don't need the gods.
Yeah, but that's your feeling.
You don't need the gods. Anyone can come up
but
with
that's
that
just how you feel
on their own. No, it's not how I feel. You don't need
Then
to
what is the historical example? Then what is a historical example of pagans who had codified principles from natural law and reason that are separate from their religious traditions?
How do you know that every polytheist attached their natural law that they came to prior to their civilized state to the gods? How do you know they all did that? Because that doesn't then there is no natural law according to you, that people can't come to these conclusions on their own, that they can't come to, if you just
I can answer your question.
Savages with no god would know, the leader would know that, look, okay, I have a bird cage, right? And these are animals, and sometimes the birds fight, and some of the birds will intervene in the fight. They don't want the other birds killing each other in the cage. Nobody taught them that. God didn't teach them that. They just know the one bird wants to intervene in the fight.
Yeah, that's just a
natural
story
law
that you made up.
It's not. No, the birds. Look, my birds get upset if two of them are fighting and they try to break up the fight. God did not teach them that.
Yeah, look, here's the thing.
Animals. If you like animals, like if you're a dog, and have you ever seen two dogs fighting and another dog tries to break it up and stop it, or gets concerned, or you've never seen animals get concerned over fights before?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, well, God did not teach them that. They knew naturally to be concerned over their fellow kin.
How do you know God didn't teach them? How do you know that?
Okay, well, there's no revealed. Where's their revealed book of religion that taught them? Where's their revelation? Who's their prophet?
It's the same as all the other.
Now you're just telling me that even animals are led by God somehow and get prophetic visions.
Look, here's the thing.
Okay,
look, you said in ancient.
Wait, let's focus on the animals. How do
no,
animals
let's not focus on the animals, because you're getting mired in a totally different subject.
No, I'm not, because animals have natural law, and you don't want to discuss that.
No. You were saying I asked you a simple question like 3 or 4 times that you couldn't answer, right? And that was name an ancient society that had natural laws that they developed.
Okay, how do you know? Then I'll throw that in your face. How do you know that there were no societies that separated their metaphysics from their natural laws?
I can answer you, because you go back furthest. The furthest people we have that go back on record, they tied their religious traditions to their laws.
Who are these people?
Zoroastrians, Hindus, all those people.
Hindus are not pagans. Zoroastrians aren't pagans.
Okay.
Do you have any polytheistic direct plural powers? That can't be a monotheistic.
Everybody else on Earth
can't have revelation.
BC
it has to be a non-revealing. Can you give me a non-revelation, did not come from revelation, pluralistic, plural power religion, that the laws, you have a book where the laws were encoded into the mythology?
Yeah, sure. Homer was the book of the Greeks, right?
No, that's not the book of
the Greeks. Yes, it is. It was the Bible of the Greeks.
Book. No,
No, you're getting it wrong. They had made sacrifices to those gods. They made sacrifices to those gods. You're completely wrong.
Homer, there's no central holy book of the Greek religion.
Sure it is. It's called the Iliad.
No,
sure it is.
It's not central. It's not.
They believed in those gods, Bruno.
Yeah, they did, but
they formed laws based on those gods. What are you talking about?
Where in the Iliad does it give you the 7 laws of whatever to follow? That can be implemented by a court. These need to be laws that can be implemented by a court. I'm not saying be humble and.
Oh my God! Socrates was sent to court because he didn't obey. Because he said there was new gods. Man, what are you talking about? He didn't follow the gods. That was one of his charges. What are you talking about? Are you totally ignorant of history at this point? This is actually staggering.
Okay, first of all, where did the God say, if you do not believe in us or invent new gods, the law is you need to be
I just
killed?
Gave you a huge example.
That was humans who implemented those laws. The humans
Oh,
came up
come
with those
on.
laws. The gods,
Yeah, and they
in
were
the
based on
mythology,
religious traditions.
when
is
you
what I'm
read
telling
the
you.
mythology, when you read this mythology, that Zeus did not come down with golden
Oh
tablets
my
and
God! So
hand
you
the
want
people.
Zeus to come down now?
No, they never handed. They never
So
handed
how do you
golden
know?
tablets.
So wait. How do you know in your science-tarred brain that Zeus didn't come down? Do you think it's just the people evolved and they were cavemen or whatever? Or how do you know that happened? What are you talking about?
No, I don't think Zeus came down with golden tablets and
Why
told people
not?
what to
Why not?
believe.
How can you prove that?
Because
How
I
can
don't
you
make
prove
up
any of that?
stories. I don't because there's
Sure,
no way
you
to
make up
even know
stories.
that.
You just said you're
There's
just
no way
gonna
to
make up
even
a
know
religion.
that. There's no way to even know whether or not Zeus came down. There's no evidence that Zeus gave the people emerald tablets with the laws written on them. There's no evidence of that.
Okay, and there's no evidence that we were cavemen and then we followed nature to come up with laws that were separate from our religious traditions. There's no proof of that either. So what? So
It's obvious if animals have natural law, then when we were in an animal
no,
state,
it's not obvious
must
that
have had
it's
them.
not obvious. First of all, that animals have natural laws.
Yes, they do. Then why do they interrupt each other when they're fighting?
It could be any number of reasons. Why do you think
Why
they
do
do?
they get upset? Because it's natural instinct. It's natural instinct for your species not to be murdering each other. So there's a natural instinct. Humans, just like animals, have natural instincts to prevent each other from hurting each other.
I don't know. Like there's.
Okay, well, animals have it, so I don't see why we would have any less of it.
I mean, you're just assuming that animals have some
Okay, well, it's
special
obvious.
ability.
It's obvious when you see them when they try to interrupt each other's fights that they don't just ignore it and not care.
So your reason for your justification for the belief that in ancient times, right, pagan traditions, okay, and their
Even
system of
before
laws were not
polytheism,
tied to their
you
pagan
don't even
traditions because
need
you saw your
gods.
dogs.
No, before pagans, you don't even need gods. These were godless. If you were a godless, didn't even know anything besides the sky above you, you would come to these conclusions.
How do you know that?
Because animals do it.
So you just believe that, ostensibly?
No, you can observe animals interfering in each other's.
There's no proof at all, and there's no set of pagan traditions at all.
I didn't say pagan. This is prior. Don't bring the gods into this. The gods have nothing to do with it.
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah, the gods have nothing to do with this.
The gods had nothing. Yeah, but your point is that your one monotheistic God had something to do with it. And I'm just saying, I believe, or it's obvious from natural animal behavior that we innately know, just like nobody needs to teach a mother to protect its child. Nobody needs to teach her. She knows to do that. If you go to a mother of an animal or a human and you try to rip the baby away from it, it's going to react and try to stop you. Nobody needed to teach you that. Nobody needed to teach you how, to be sexual or things like that. These things come to us naturally.
So do you believe humans should live like animals?
We can see more natural laws than animals can.
Why?
Because we have more evolved brains.
So you believe in evolution?
Just more adapted brains or different brains. I don't know if I believe in evolution. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, Hinduism completely disagrees with evolution, but that's besides.
Well, I'm not a Hindu, but
okay. I thought you were one, but
I used to be. I left it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, nobody needs to. A mother will protect its children, human or animal, without any kind of teaching, without any kind of. It's an instinct. It's an instinct. So it's an instinct in humans and animals to prevent fights. It's an instinct.
Yeah. So
okay,
how come animals don't make laws?
Did a mother need a law or a revelation to protect her baby? No, she didn't need that.
So human beings don't need laws.
No, I said she didn't need a revelation. She didn't need a revelation, and she didn't need a law to tell her what to do in that situation. She didn't need someone to come and say, if someone tries to take your baby, you have to fight for it. No, she just naturally knows to do that. Humans naturally know, they feel empathy for each other. If they see somebody getting hit, they want it to stop. Even animals have that.
Yeah, sure, but they don't have laws, right? And you said that humans have a higher sense of natural law than animals do,
Well, if
right?
they're actually, they do have a law. Like, okay, so in my cage, I have one bird. There's some birds that fight, but I have one bird in particular who, and at least he tries to enact the law. Whenever there's a fight, he tries to stop it. So, there's, in my cage, there's a semi-enforcement system. The only reason it's not enforced is that there's not enough of the police in there to stop it. But yeah, there's an enforcement mechanism in my cage. At least there's an attempt to.
Yeah, I mean, there would need to be, right? Because if everybody enforces their own natural laws, then that's
But
just
most people
anarchy.
come to the, okay, just like most women don't want their baby ripped off of their breast. So when they see another woman having that done to her, they don't want it done. And so they eventually say, well, nobody can do this to anybody because I don't want it done to me,
Right.
and I don't
Right.
want
What
it done
about
to her.
Solomon? And the lady with the two where the two babies wanted the kid. What would you do in that case?
Well, I certainly wouldn't threaten to cut it in half, and
Well, what would you do?
I probably, if I was King Solomon and they were fighting over it and I didn't know which one it was, I would probably just adopt it, probably. I mean,
So
if I
take the
didn't
kid
know,
away?
well, I don't know why. I could give it to the wrong one by accident. They're both liars. How do I know it's either of their children now? If they're both fighting it, they could have both picked up the baby from somewhere else and been fighting over it. Anything could have happened. I don't know whose child it is. I'm not going to give it to the wrong mother.
Yeah, but I think it makes a point that I was trying to make, right? Like, you said
We have
every
empathy.
mother wants to protect her kid, but look at this situation.
No, well, the point was that the mother who didn't want to protect the child wasn't
Exactly.
the mother.
Exactly. So not
Okay,
all
yes,
mothers want to
but we
protect
have
their kids.
empathy. Okay, I know you. Yeah, and I said there's people who don't pick up the law as quickly as other people do, but the ones who pick it up faster enforce it. The ones who pick it up faster enforce it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so it's not that difficult. It's not that hard. It's not anything. It's not magical. It's not prophetic. It's not revealed. It's nothing like that.
Right. That might be a lack of force behind it because of that.
No, they're pagan societies, or even, okay, well,
Yeah, they killed people who didn't believe in it.
Once enough people believe no murder, no theft, it's enforced. Once enough people see that, it's an observation. It might take them a while to notice it, but and yes, there is empathy. Like, and babies, they know why. If you put a baby in a nursery in the hospital, if one of the babies starts crying, they all start crying because they have empathy. Babies naturally have empathy for other babies. Even toddlers have empathy. They have to grow. I mean, toddlers will do bad things too, but there's that natural first instinct there, or at least, and it can be worked on. And then you learn as you get older, it grows on itself. Like, it's not good to steal away toys from people and things like that. Adults see these things. Nobody needs to teach adults to separate the children when they're fighting. Nobody needs to teach them that. Well, actually, some of them do need to be taught that. In some cultures, they don't see that right away.
Right.
But I mean, the cultures who do would be more successful. So then you have the Beyondist model. You look at everyone's culture and you say, okay, who has the most success? Who has the most education? Who has the greatest infrastructure? Whose people are happiest? Who has the greatest population growth? These different kinds of things. And then you make a metrics and you say, okay, well, you look at people who allow murder and theft, or like, you know, like this Carol thinks it's like there's this great, she talks about the Eskimos like they're so great because they take their orphans and they just dump the food in the middle and the orphans all fight over it. And they say that, oh, but our greatest leaders come from orphans because, you know, they have these horrible childhoods. Like, you know, that's okay, you know, but Eskimos also don't have a very high quality of life, long lifespan. You know, they, you know, it's a more simplistic culture, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but they're not able to defend themselves. They were conquered. I don't think taking your orphans and making them fight over rations is like the most. I don't think you're going to get very far with that kind of thing. You know, yeah, most people eventually would figure that out, that you shouldn't be turning your orphans against each other and having them beat the shit out of each other for a piece of fish. You know, you know, they didn't figure that out, but look at where they are.
Yeah. So
I
I mean,
actually have to, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, please.
No, I actually have to go.
Yeah, same here. Keep it moving here. You know, yeah, blessings, Vincent. I appreciate the convo.
Yes. Okay. Claire, are you here?
Thank you both for coming. Yes, I am. I managed to get back in time.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to talk to you soon.
All right.
Yeah, peace be
Thank
with you,
you.
Vincent. Yeah.
Yes, you too. Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Oh yeah, peace, Claire. Thank you so much for inviting me again. I greatly
right.
appreciate our conversations. I mean, of course,
Yes.
I value your time as well. Yep.
Yes, I value yours. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, madam.